this book may help readers to that kind of understanding of the craft which girls love, and that some, at least, will experience the extraordinary tranquility of mind induced by the gentle rhythms of spinning. Hello friends, welcome to my channel about creating and using hand-spun yarn. My name is Lisa and I can be found on social media as the Soulful Spinner. So welcome all returning viewers and a big hello to all my new subscribers and viewers. I noticed that I am inching up towards almost 1,600 subscribers, so it's pretty exciting. I'm on this roll where I'm producing videos every week and I'm really enjoying it, and every time I get a comment or a thumbs up from a viewer, it's encouragement for me to keep going. So keep those comments and thumbs up coming, because I really appreciate it. I was fortunate this week to get a couple of shout outs from two women that I admire, and they're two amazing women. One of them is Rachel Smith from Woolen Spinning, and if you're a spinner, of course you know Rachel. She is an amazing teacher and wonderful spinner. So she gave me a shout out in her last podcast. And then Josephine Valtine, who is a support spinner extraordinaire, gave me a shout out on her Facebook page, which I was embarrassed and surprised, I guess. She's an amazing spinner. I'm tempted to take one of her advanced courses because what she knows about support spinning is incredible. She's got a wonderful YouTube channel here too, where some of her videos are for free, where she just, is in the woods. I think she lives in Sweden, and she's in this by a babbling brook, or she's out and she's spinning and they zoom in on her hands. It's just very peaceful. I've watched those videos over and over and over again, and am constantly inspired by her. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk about some current spinning. I'm going to have a little section on tools. I have just received a new pair of combs in the mail I want to share with you today. And then I want to do a segment on my Ashford E-spinner. I bought the Ashford E-spinner towards the end of last summer season. And she's been kind of tucked away in her case, and I have been using it lately to ply, but I'm also learning how to spin on her. It's a little bit different experience on the e-spinner. I mean, basically whatever you use to spin, whether it be a spindle or a wheel or electric wheel, it's all the same. It's putting twist into fiber, but each tool has its own idiosyncrasies and little nuances that you have to adjust for. So I'm going to share with you that. I got a new spinner's control card from a shop on Etsy that I'll share with you today. And then finally, I just received this today in the mail. I have a new book. This is a book that was originally published in 1953, and it's Your Hand Spinning by Elsie Davenport. I have a couple of classic little pamphlet type books in my library that I am rereading in an effort to, become a better spinner. I have been spinning since 2013. I bought a spinning wheel. I bought a Lendrum folding spinning wheel at that time. And I've learned quite a lot, but I am also self-taught. And when you are self-taught, you don't have a teacher to show you what you're doing wrong or what you could do better to improve your spinning. So I've relied a lot on texts and videos to get better. So I'll share with you this book at the end of the podcast. The first thing I want to do is give you an update on my knitting project. So I am knitting a little shawl, a little scarf, with some yarn that I received from a viewer It is beautiful, beautiful yarn. This is my Field of Dreams yarn, and it is a Polworth linen and Surrey alpaca blend. The name of the pattern is Debut. I've shown this to you guys last week, but if you're a new viewer and you haven't seen my old episodes. So I'm on to the third color in the shawl, and here's my progress so far. I'm really enjoying this. Right now it's just a garter. So it started out with this, I started out with this taupe color, and then it moved into this blue, and there was an eyelet section. And then here I'm into the gold, and I'm striping it with the blue. And then I will do another eyelet section with the gold color, and then I will finish the shawl with this green yarn here. And it matches my shirt. This is going to be a beautiful, beautiful little scarf for the summer. It's a nice, crisp, light yarn, and if I wasn't spinning so much these days, I probably would have more progress to show, but I think it's going to go really nice with my summer wardrobe. Speaking of summer wardrobes, I've had a couple of viewers ask me about my linen tops, you know, whether I had sewn them myself or where I had purchased them. So I thought I would share with you what I'm wearing here. This is a linen tunic. It's from, the name of the company is Flax. They make all these linen clothing. And I discovered linen a few years ago in the summer, and, you know, being a woman over 50 and, you know, having temperature regulation issues, I discovered the joys of linen in the summertime. And so every year I've been adding a few pieces to my wardrobe. So I have some linen trousers and shirts. They're very simply constructed, you know, and so I've had a couple people say, did you make it yourself? And alas, I have a sewing machine, but I do not know how to sew clothing. I've made some quilts, but I don't know how to sew garments. So the name of the shop that I purchased this particular blouse from was called Linen Woman. They had a big sale, and I bought a couple more pieces. So this green blouse and then the one I was wearing last week is also linen. So yeah, I just love natural fibers. They're just very easy and comfortable to wear. And well, you know, I'm to buy things that are going to last years and years and years, and that when you do finally give them up, they're going to degrade, just makes me happy. So, you know, trying to not buy too much synthetic clothing. So if you're interested in my clothes, what I was wearing, I also have a couple of linen aprons that I enjoy wearing too. And the one thing about linen that's so great is the more you wash it and you wear it, the softer and more supple it becomes. So it just improves with age, which is always a good thing. So what do you want to hear about first? I think I'm going to share with you my new combs. So I have a video on combing that I think I made last summer, where I shared all my combs that I have in my stash and my toolkit. But I have wanted a set of these for a while, and they're combs by Susan and Andrew Forsyth. Here's the little bag that they came in. Really nice cotton bag with some soft fabric here. And these are the combs. They're a set of their mini combs. I saw these combs first on Judith McKenzie's video, 3 Bags Full, where she shows combing with these exact combs. And you know, if it's good enough for Judith, it's got to be good enough for me too. So I had looked at their website a couple years ago and they had retired. So I went to their website and I found out that they were making combs again. They had retired and they weren't available. You could get maybe the combs on D-Stash. And so I sent a message to Susan and I asked her if she had, if they could make some mini combs for me. And she said that they had a set and they would put my name on them. And then she told me to send my personal check, which, so they don't, if you're interested in buying any of their combs or their hackles, or they make paddle combs, hackles, they do a 4-pitch comb, they do these beautiful mini combs. They don't take credit card or PayPal, so you have to send them a check. And I did, and I think within a month of my communications with her, they were in my hand. So it was a very positive transaction all around. So these are the combs. They're handcrafted, and on this one, it's got the, reminds me of my Lendrum wheel. It's got the Canadian maple leaf. And what I really, really like about these is the length of the tines and the curve. I mean, as well as just the elegance and the ergonomics of the whole kit. I have a pair of Louette mini combs that are much shorter and wider, but I'm really, really enjoying combing with these two. And they come with this, I bought this clever little device which allows you to diz off, and I will get you up close here and do a demonstration. And you clamp this to your table and you can diz off from the combs. It also came with a little plastic diz with a really, really tiny hole. And I'm actually finding that I like the tiny hole more than the larger holes on some of my other dizzes. So I will give you a brief demonstration of how I am creating comb top from these new combs right here, and I'll be back in just a moment. This is the fiber that I'm going to comb here with my new mini combs. And sometimes you can pull the locks out, and for true worsted spinning, you want to make sure you keep all the fibers going in the same direction from the cut end to the tip end. Some people are not particular and they just lash the locks on the combs however they want it. I've done both, and I think when the locks are easily identifiable, I prefer to lash them on all in the same direction. If the fleece has gotten kind of, disorganized in the washing, then I'll just sort of lash on without regard to the tip or the butt end. So here's one of my combs. I'm going to go ahead and take my locks and I'm going to lash them onto the comb. I have another video about wool combs if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen it. I think I did it last summer, where I do quite a bit of demonstration with my combs. So for those of you that have seen this before, you could skip this part if you like. But these are new combs, so I thought I would share with you how it's going with these. Of course, I could have done that ahead of time, right? Okay, so she said, Susan, in their videos, they're quite old videos, but they're very good still. She said to lash the fiber up to the bend, but not too tight. So that's about as much as that's about as much as I'd probably want to put on there. Let me raise you up a little bit. So I've got my fiber. We'll set this aside. Now I did not oil this fiber. She suggests using hair conditioner. I've used unicorn fiber rinse mixed with some water. This is just a little bit of water with a couple of drops of essential oil in case I get too much static. So what you're going to do is you always keep the tines perpendicular to each other, and you start to pull away, take little bites of the fiber. Now, Susan Forsyth in one of her videos is doing this. And boy, she got some, she was combing towards herself, and she got a couple of comments, "Don't do that. That's so wrong. You can hurt yourself," which you totally could. But, you know, she's been combing a lot, so who am I to say it's wrong? Okay, I'm getting quite a bit of static here. I don't really want to get the wood wet at all, but this is such a fine mist. If I just sort of spray it in the air, it takes away some of the static. Plus it smells good. And then you just keep doing this. You can turn this over upside down, but you still want to keep your combs perpendicular. She does a little, when she does it, she does a little turn at the end. I don't usually do that. Okay, so that's 2 passes, and here's the waist. Now in Elsie Davenport's book, she says save this and use it for woolen spinning. So putting it aside, you can use it for needle felting, you know, stuffing, what have you. Now, I'm going to take my fiber here and I'm going to transfer it back to this comb. Susan from Susan's Fiber Shop also has a very highly viewed video on how to comb. And she does a really nice, succinct video on that. I like to push it up a little bit if it seems like it's getting kind of stuck in the base of the combs here. So that's the second pass. And I'm going to do one more. One more set. So you always want to go even number so that when you end up, you have all the fibers going in the same direction. So I'll do one more pass here. So I'm just taking little bites of fiber, keeping this perpendicular. Flip it over if you want. The waste from the second set of combings is often really good for woolen spinning. It usually doesn't have any veg matter in it. It's just the shorter, Susan calls them the undesirables, but put that off on the side. And then we're going to do one more transfer. So get quite a lot of static here. Because they're so light in the hand. They're very easy on the wrists. Somebody on Instagram was saying that the Valkyrie is just a little too heavy for her. And I said the Louette mini combs, they're great, but these are also very nice. All right, so that's 4 passes. Now I'll show you how we use the little clamping system to diz off the roving. So this is the result of 4 passes. So now we're going to diz this off. So it was included in the package was this little diz. It's simple diz made out of a piece of plastic. Got a tiny hole here. And so what you're going to do is take a piece of what I do is I take a piece and I twist it. I stick my hook into the hole and then pull out the tip. Okay, and now I'm going to diz off. So I'm going to pull out and push, pull out and push, and I'm going to work my way across the combs until I have one long continuous strand. So this is really pre-drafting. And I'm working on making it consistent in thickness. Nice combs, very nice, easy to use. Okay, so I'm going to pull that off so that you could use for woolen spinning here, the leftovers. And then I'm going to make a little nest. I call it a bird's nest. And then this was the first off the comb. That's going to be the first into the wheel. So I kind of twist it and stick it in the middle. And now it's ready for the spindle or for the wheel. So yeah, aren't they wonderful? They're really nice, and they come in that nice little bag here, so that when you're on the road and traveling, you can just toss them. Well, not toss them. Carefully place them in your suitcase. Of course, you wouldn't bring them on an airplane, but like if you're taking a road trip, you could. I plan on bringing them up north with me this summer when we go on our vacation to the North Woods. I'm going to put them in my bag with some fiber, so I can do some fiber prep at the cabin, which I always miss when I'm away from my fiber. She suggests that you store them by locking them together like this and putting them in the bag for safety. So it's important that you treat your tools and be careful with them, because they can get damaged, and you don't want to damage these tools that you spent a lot of money on, that were handcrafted and very valuable. So I wanted to show you this fleece that I was using in the combing demonstration, and I'm going to quiz you guys. This is the washed fleece. As you can see, it's beautifully soft. Well, you can't see that it's soft, but you get the idea. I'm going to show you a lock here. So what say you? What do you think this is? Make a guess. I know a lot of my viewers are going to be able to figure it out just by the pointed tips. It's Shetland. This Shetland fleece is so beautiful and so soft. So my husband and I went to Wisconsin Sheep and Wool in the summer of 2016, and I purchased this fleece from a lovely lady from New York. Her name is Jen Johnson, and she has Whispering Pines Shetlands, and I think she lives in New York. Yeah, she definitely lives in New York. And we hit the fleece sale on the Sunday morning on our way home, and there wasn't a whole lot of fleeces left, but there was this fleece, and this was Emma, and she's a cream colored. She said she was fawn, but as you can see, it's quite white and cream colored. So, but she described it as fawn with a brown spot. So it does have a brown spot in the middle of the fleece, which is kind of cool because you could use it as an accent maybe. So I got a lot of really positive feedback from my Romney episode last week, where I did the discussion of the breed. So I am working on a Shetland breed study, but there's just so much to Shetland that I'm going to need some time to really work with it, make some swatches, and get that podcast together. It's such a wonderful breed that has so many wide applications and such a wonderful history. So look forward to that. In the next coming weeks, I will do a breed study on Shetland. I have quite a number of examples in my stash, and can't wait to share with you my experience with Shetland. All right, next up I'm going to talk about my Jacob spin. I have 2 new skeins this week to show you. So here's another skein from the gray fleece. This has not been washed yet, so it hasn't been washed and thwacked yet, but this is completed. And then I made this skein from some drum carded Jacob that I had in my stash. I'll show you what the bat looks like. I saved a little bat to show you. What I did is I took mostly white and then just a little bit of gray. And this is a fleece that I showcased in my Jacob fleece episode. This is from a Three Fates farm in Crete, Illinois. So this is how the yarn turned out. It's a nice heathery white and gray. So what I'm going to do is use the white at the collar and then work my way down into the darker shades. So thus far, this is the darkest that I could come up with from my yarn, from my fiber. So I wanted some more of the darker fibers for my sweater because I want to do the cuffs and the bottom of the sweater in a darker shade. So I looked at my fleeces and I found little Mandy. Mandy's a tiny little fleece that I bought from Cold Valley Farm in Wisconsin. And there may or may not be another fleece coming from that farm soon. So stay tuned for that. But these are the bats that I made from Mandy, the black fleece. And her fleece was mostly black with some white. So it's quite dark. It's very, very soft, much softer than the other drum carded fleece that I got from Dakota Carding and Wool. This fleece is really, really soft. So I thought this would be lovely around the cuff of my sweater because, you know, that can be maybe an area where you have a little bit more sensitivity. And then here are the bobbins that I spun so far. So I've got 2 Lendrum bobbins full. I've got this much more to spin. So I think I should have plenty for the sweater that I'm planning. So while I was working with this fleece in the dark shades, I figured I would go ahead and make a few lighter shades too. Because this fleece is so super soft, I mean, the micron count, it almost reminds me of my CVM that I worked with last summer. It's very, very soft. So I thought maybe I'll pull out the white locks and make a skein for the collar, because the collar can be very, you know, next to your neck, be sensitive. So these are the little bats that I have left from that little carding session. And I will insert a video here of how I am spinning these up. So I hope you enjoy it. All right, so that leaves my promise to some viewers that I would show you my Ashford E-spinner 3. So I'll pause here and I'll get you up close to my Ashford E-spinner and give you kind of a run through on some of the specs and how I'm using it to spin yarn and to ply. So I hope you enjoy this segment. So this is my E-spinner 3. It's from Ashford. It's got their logo on the front. The E-spinner 3 comes with a foot pedal. I use this sometimes just on the table and use my hand to turn it on or off. Or you can place this on the floor just like a sewing machine and turn it on and off that way. So it comes with the foot pedal here, and then the power cord, which is attached to the electrical outlet. I also have a power pack for this. This wheel came with it comes in a case. Comes with 3 of these bobbins here. Comes with 3 bobbins. 3 wooden bobbins. These are fine, but I prefer these Ashford bobbins that I purchased from Acrework. No, they're not Ashford bobbins. They're Acreworks bobbins. So these are this is the lacy pattern. This is Acreworks, and here's I've got a pink one, and then the one that's on the wheel currently is brown. It's a bicycle spokes, and then I have a black one also. So I have enough of the Acreworks bobbins so that I could do a traditional 3-ply yarn. I just found that these Acreworks bobbins allowed me to get a little bit better control over the tension on the wheel. So I do really like these. I have these for my little gem, Major Craft Little Gem, and I have them for this. Don't have any Lendrum Acreworks bobbins. It also came with a Lazy Kate. It's really a complete package here. Here's the Lazy Kate, but it only has 2 prongs, so I don't know how you would do a 3-ply on here. So I'm going to just go ahead and turn this on for you so that you can get an idea of the sound. All right, now there's my Acreworks bobbin, just kind of rolled off the table. There we go. Okay, so here it has, this is the speed dial, so you've got, pretty much 0 all the way to fast. I tend to spin between 11 o'clock and 1. 1 is getting kind of fast for me. I don't go much faster than that. There's an on button. So it's blinking, so that means it's on. And then it has, it's set for a spin Z, which is, you can see the way the Z is, or Z, that's clockwise, or you can flip it up for plying. So let me put it on for you so you can get an idea of how this thing sounds. So that's at about 11 o'clock. Kind of a nice, pleasant humming sound. Okay, now here it is at 12. And here it is at about 1. It's like a fan. So you notice it stops quite quickly after I hit the hit the paddle again, the pad. So what do you think? Do you think that's too loud and annoying? It's kind of a pleasant, kind of a white noise sound. And if you're listening to music or you've got earbuds in, I don't think it would be that big of a deal. So what I'm spinning on here is some LOC Fiber Arts. This is her card. She's Beth Ann. I think she's in Vermont. She's one of the first independent dyers that I ever purchased from. And this is called Outlander. And it's BFL and mohair. And I've got 2 braids. I've got a 4-ounce braid, and then I've got another one that's about 3 ounces. So I've got plenty to do 3-ply yarn. I want to make some socks with this. So here it is. Evidently it's a Outlander inspired theme here. So I'm going to zoom you out and show you how I am spinning on this spinner. So just like a spindle, just like a spinning wheel, you know, whatever puts twist into fiber is going to create your yarn. So let me turn this for you guys. Here. So the tensioning is Scotch tension. So you have looks like a kind of a fishing line nylon cord. It goes around the back of the bobbin, and it's got springs on both sides here and then on the other side too. Now this one got a little bent when I first got the wheel because it got caught up with some yarn. So I'm looking for a replacement for that spring, but I think really any kind of, you know, elastic would do well for that. All right, I had to get a new battery for my camera. So as I was saying, it's a nice lightweight wheel. It's kind of cute. It just, I don't know, I like the kind of the aesthetics of it. It's kind of cute. Here is the orifice hook that's right conveniently stored right here in this little hole here. And what you do, of course, is you thread it just like you would any other wheel. It goes through, can you see over here? It goes through there, and then it goes through here. I just use my hands for this part. And then I use my hook. And now we're ready to spin. So I'm going to start slow. See, hopefully you can see this. Yeah, you can see that. Start at about 11 o'clock. I've got a strand of fiber here. So I just stripped a piece of the top here, and then I'm going to start it. I'm just getting what I had already spun in there, so do my join. And of course you can do your short forward. It does have a little bit more noise once you start applying some tension. You can also spin from the side. So I'm just going to do a little bit of longer draft back. And then in the goes. So I'm getting quite a fine thread here. And then giving it to the wheel. So you use kind of a nice gentle speed here. Now if you want to speed it up, I'm going to put it at about 1 o'clock. You can see it's quite a bit noisier, but you can spin a lot faster. So I'm trying to create a 3-ply yarn for socks. So I want a high twist single and tightly plied 3-ply. So first time I spun on this is very strange because, you know, you're so used to the rhythm of your feet with the wheel. And of course with the wheel, this could keep going whether you know, if you stop to correct something, you have to quick make adjustments. And there's pretty much all there's to it. So again, you could do your work close to the orifice, or you could work quite a ways out from the orifice. You could put your feet up. Again, when I first bought the wheel, my sister who I vacationed with said, "Are you going to take that with? Because it's awfully noisy." She did. What do you think? You think it's noisy? I don't know. So now, when you turn it off, I find that if you get close to the orifice and then hit the button, you don't get a bunch of pigtails and backspin. And so let me use my new spinner's control card here to check my single. This single looks to be about 45 wraps per inch. I mean, it's really, really thin. To be able to do this on a regular spinning wheel, unless you had a really high ratio, you'd be treadling like mad to get this thin of a single. So I think for that purpose, it's for very fine spinning, it's very good. I'm sure, though, you could turn it low and you could spin a bulky yarn as well, so it's quite versatile. The bobbins have a large capacity, so it's a very versatile wheel. Now there is a larger version of this, I think, that's specifically designed for art yarn. So let me show you now how this comes out and how you change the bobbin. So just pull that off of there. So what you do is you just lift it up and pull it out like this. And there you have your bobbin. And so now the flyer has a flat, it's got a little grease on there, it's got a flat spot here, and it's got a notch on the place where you insert it. And so sometimes you put a drop of oil there, and then it just goes right in there. And snaps right in, so it's really, really convenient. So what I'm using this for is to do my plying, and it's brilliant for plying because you can get your yarn plied in no time and save your ankles. So I'm going to go ahead and put on my white bobbin here. I got a couple of the colorful ones. I got the pink one, and I think I have a purple one, but I kind of like the elegance of just plain white for this wheel. I thought it would look kind of cool. So just going to stick it in there. It just pops right in there, and then you have your tensioning system. I've got my leader all ready to go. I suppose I should just use my hook. It's always on camera that this is going to be how long does it take Lisa to get a piece of string through a hole? All right. Yeah, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take these two bobbins of Jacob wool, and I'm going to pop it on my nitty knotty here. So this is one of my nitty knotties. This one is from Mogul Design. It's a folding Lazy Kate. This one's, I think, really nice for traveling. Basically, it's got, put it all together here for you. So that's it. That's your Lazy Kate. You open it up. It's got the metal bars on the inside. So this one, you stick here, and it keeps it open. Keeps it, because the tilting mechanism is what tensions your yarn. So you don't have to have a string around the bobbins to tension your yarn. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop these on. So I've got a couple of others here as extras. Let's go ahead and put these on the Lazy Kate. And when I set this on the floor, I'm going to set it so it's tilted away from me, and that just creates just enough tension so that you can control your ply tension. So I'm going to switch my button to S, it's just, and it says ply S, which is counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. And then again, I'm going to just, again, I use my hand for this, but you can also use your foot, put it on the floor. So here we go, we're moving left. Ply twist is, I'm at 12 o'clock. You want to keep things away from the spinning mechanism. And, okay, Judith says that you should keep even tension on your 2 plies as they go into the orifice so that you have a nice even. So what I do is I count 1, 2, 3, 4, let it in, 1, 2, 3, 4, let it in, stop it. You see how nice it stops. I'm going to check my ply twist. Looks great. Just make sure it doesn't get turned around on your bobbin here. Maybe turn the tension up just a little bit. So that's at 12 o'clock, which seems to be a good speed for the wheel. It's not too noisy. You don't feel like, you know, you're fighting to keep up with it. Yeah, and you can do this, and it goes very, very quickly. Of course, if you turn it up, you're going to have to put up with the noise and give it up to the wheel a little bit faster. Just depends on how big a hurry are you and to have your yarn plied. So sometimes I like to slow it down first before I turn it off, just because then it doesn't kind of go all over the place. So I don't know if that's what you're supposed to be doing, like if you're supposed to start it low, turn it high, 2, 3, 4, turn it low, and then turn it off. So you can experiment. I bought this from an Etsy shop called, I think, The Spinnery. I will leave her link below. She was super fast shipping, and I think I got you know, gift certificate to her other sister shop that sells all kinds of fiber. So I got some goodies along with the wheel. So that's my Ashford E-spinner. If you have any questions about the wheel, or you'd like to see the wheel in action again on another video, please do let me know and we can do that for you. So what do you think of the E-spinner? I know I have some social media friends that use the E-spinner. I know Kia from Kia's Bode podcast has Ashford E-spinner, as does Yolanda. Yolanda loves yarn. Her podcast is Sweet Kitty Crafts. She's just the sweetest lady ever. She also uses a Ashford spinner. There's also an art yarn spinner. I will put her link below. I can't remember the name of her off the top of my head, but she uses the bulky version of the E-spinner. Of course, Jazz Turtle, Esther Rogers, also uses an E-spinner. So do you have an E-spinner? I know the Hansen is very popular, very beautiful. There's those nano wheels, I think, and then there's a couple of other makers that make electric wheels. So be curious to know your experience with them. Do you like them or have them? Please let me know in the comments below if you have an electric spinner. The other thing that I bought that I just received in the mail this week is a new spinner's control card. Now, a spinner's control card is a card that helps you determine your wraps per inch of your single when you're spinning, and then also your plied yarn. Now I already had this one, which is a plastic one. This one is VIPfiberarts.com. That goes from 6 wraps per inch to 40. So you lay your single along the the line that matches it the best, and then that's an estimate of your wraps per inch. But I heard Rachel Wool and Spinning talk about these Sukaploki control cards, and this is what I ordered from that shop. And what I like about this one is all these lines are engraved in the actual card. So it's really a nice spinner's control card. So I have this on a string, and I am just, hanging it to my wheel and checking my wraps per inch every now and then, as well as checking my sample single. It came with some really cute documentation. It came with this card, which gives information about the shop, and then also this refrigerator magnet. Knitting is not a crime, though kind of charming. So that was it gives a story of the little factory, the little workshop that they use to make these spinner control card. So I'll leave a link to his shop in the description box below. In this last segment, I want to share with you a book that I received in the mail today. And it is an oldie but a goodie. It is Your Hand Spinning by Elsie G. Davenport. I had heard about this book from Dr. Steve Glinert. She's Flegel Spin supported. I have her book, and she has this as one of her references. And I'm trying to collect books on spinning and learn more about the craft. I am completely self-taught. I've taught myself through books, through intuition, through videos. I've never had a hands-on lesson. So I feel like maybe I'm doing things wrong, and I want to make sure I want to kind of up my technical game a little bit. But this is really a charming book. It was originally published in 1953. And then it was republished in 1971. So it's still pretty old. This copy is in tremendous condition. I got it from Amazon. And I just got started reading the introduction and kind of perusing this a little bit. But I'm definitely going to read this from cover to cover. And if I find any information in here that I feel like is particularly interesting, I'll share it with you here on the podcast. I'm also waiting on a book by Pam Austin about hand spinning. It's supposed to come in the mail on Sunday, so I'll have that book to share with you next week. But I thought I would read a little bit of the introduction to you guys. This book was mainly written to help weavers learn how to spin their own yarn. So I guess it must have been late 40s, early 50s. Hand weaving became popular again. So in her introduction, she talks about how this is a book that's designed for those people. So I thought I would read a little bit of the introduction for you. I thought it's charming and interesting. So, to many of us, a spinning wheel is a romantic relic of the other days, more often associated with antique shops and museums than with any form of practical work. Yet, with this simple piece of apparatus, we can produce a woolen yarn possessing qualities unobtainable by any other means. Although this little book on hand spinning is written primarily for the use of those intending to become hand weavers, hello, that's me, spinning is such a delightful occupation that people often find great pleasure in creating yarns for others to weave or knit. She doesn't talk about yourself knitting. I don't know why, but I will continue. Of all the natural fibers used for spinning, wool is perhaps the least difficult with which to learn. In this country, now this is Great Britain, we have a long and honorable tradition for the production and use of wool, and is still the easiest material to obtain in suitable condition for spinning. For this reason, wool spinning forms the main subject of this book, although there are chapters on the use of linen, silk, various kinds of hair, cotton, and synthetic materials. The chapter on British sheep and their fleeces is included in the hope that it will be useful to both town and country readers, helping the former to see that all sheep are not alike, encouraging the latter to work with their local wools, at the same time providing them with information about sheep in districts other than their own. The reader who really desires to learn to spin well is urged to work systematically through the chapters on wool spinning before attempting to use other fibers. Even if one possesses a spinning wheel, one should learn first on a spindle. One cannot correct mistakes in spinning. One must learn to avoid them. This can be done only by understanding why they have been made, and with a spindle it is so much easier to see all that is happening than when trying to control a wheel. It is perhaps unfortunate that it is so deceptively easy to make a yarn of sorts, yet so difficult to make a really good yarn, unless one is prepared to spend some time making simple, practical experiments. Should anyone feel tempted to regard spindle spinning as a form of childish amusement, let him reflect on the gossamer-like fabrics made from spindle-spun yarn, which were so vividly depicted by Egyptian tomb painters and sculptors thousands of years ago, and also on the fact that considerably nearer our own time, the weavers of ancient Greece used such yarn for the materials whose handle and draping qualities inspired the most wonderful interpretations of textiles in marble the world has yet seen. It must have been a perfect cloth indeed, which moved the sculptor of the winged victory, thus to immortalize the weaver's art, and perfect cloth cannot be made without perfect yarn. Why, one may ask, should hand weavers today spin their own yarn? As well ask why a gardener should sow seeds. A cloth which has grown from yarn designed for it gives as much satisfaction to the weaver as a plant grown from seed in a well-prepared soil gives the gardener. Both may sometimes purchase their material ready prepared, the weaver his yarn and the gardener his bedding out plants. Each will be the wiser purchaser if he sometimes does the work himself. Apart altogether from added pleasure and pride, each will feel at having handheld something from its beginnings. Today, very few hand weavers work entirely from hand-spun yarns. Even if we wish to do so, there are not enough spinners to supply us. For much of our work, we must choose from yarns spun by machine for use on power looms, which have to work at very high speeds, with as few interruptions as possible, if they are to be profitable. In designing yarns which will stand up to these conditions, valuable characteristics of the fibers from which they are made have to be sacrificed. This is particularly so with wool. Nowadays, too much blending with synthetic fibers takes place in power spinning, usually in order to cheapen the resulting product. The weaver who lacks practical knowledge of making yarn cannot hope to avoid the many pitfalls awaiting him in the selection of yarns from among those designed for purposes so different from his own. His hands are insensitive, his eyes are blind. To be able to feel and to see, we must spin. Only then can we make our choice with confidence. A chapter toward the end of this book is devoted to a discussion of qualities and defects in machine-spun yarns from the hand weaver's viewpoint. So it's interesting that the pronoun is exclusively his, 1953. But I'm really looking forward to reading this from cover to cover. And in the preface, she says, "I hope this book may help readers to that kind of understanding of the craft which grows love, and that some, at least, will experience the extraordinary tranquility of mind induced by the gentle rhythms of spinning." Elsie G. Davenport, 1953. Yeah. Anybody have this book? Have you read it? I have this one, and then I have Betty Hochberg's book too, which I think I shared in a much earlier podcast. So I'm going to be busy this weekend reading this book and learning more about spinning. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I love making these videos, and I especially love interacting with anybody who is watching these. I hope you're well wherever you are. You're finding time to enjoy the weather and find some time to do the things you love to do. Until next week, friends, take care, and we'll see you soon.